No, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, now we can see.
Now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Overview.
Yeah,
Adhyay Katha Sar. Suta Goswami describes how Maharaj Parikshit, who had a natural attraction for Lord Krishna, fixed his mind upon him with rapt attention, giving up all family attachments and the regulated activities of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. After hearing from Shukadev Goswami, verses 5 to 10, Parikshit Maharaj inquiry. Maharaj Parikshit praises Shukadev Goswami because he is without material contamination and is narrating the topics of the Lord. He then inquires about the personality of Godhead, creative activities by his different energies and expansions. He concludes by praising the transcendental activities of the Lord. And Shukadev Goswami, who, being a great devotee of the Lord, is therefore as good as the personality of Godhead. Verses 11 to 25, Shukadev Goswami, Mangalacharan. Shukadev Goswami glorifies Lord Krishna and prays for the ability to answer Maharaj Parikshit's inquiry. Then he begins to describe a conversation between Narad Muni and Lord Brahma.
yes, thank you. So we have seen till almost 10 verses. 11 verses just recited. So in the 11th verse, Sutta Goswami just giving the connection, what happened after Parikshit Maharaj inquired about the creation aspects. So based on that creation question, the whole chapter. Just 1 minute. I'm just taking the charging. Yes. Yeah. Now Sukadeva Goswami offering his prayers in text 12 to 18. He offers prayers, and then from 19 to 23 he seeks the pleasure of the Lord. He's may the Lord be pleased with my words, with my narrations. May the Lord manifest through my sound vibration. That's how he is seeking Krishna's pleasure. Hope my voice is clear and audible. Understood?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, text, we will go to text 11. So, text 11, so the Goswami is speaking a connecting verse from the previous section where Parikshit Maharaj asked questions. So the Goswami said that so he systematically remembered the Lord, the master of the senses, to reprove my proper to speak. Please read this purport. This purport basically Prabhupada explains the mood of the speaker, how one should speak before. Prabhupada gives very beautiful understanding before speaking or sharing the Krishna consciousness, what the mood and the consciousness of the devotee should be. Yeah. Please read.
When Shukadev Goswami, the devotees of the Lord,
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada explains about the mood of the speaker in specific and consciousness of devotee. The devotees of the Lord, while delivering speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think that they can do anything independently. They think that they can speak only what they are induced to speak by the Supreme Lord, the master of the senses. The senses of the individual being are not his own. The devotee knows that such senses belong to the Supreme Lord and that they can be properly used when they are employed for the service of the Lord. The senses are instruments and elements and ingredients all endowed by the Lord. Therefore, whatever an individual can do, speak, see, etc., is under the direction of the Lord only. The Bhagavad Gita 15.15 confirms this. Sarvasya chaham rudi sannivishto matta smritirjnanam apohanam cha. No one is free to act freely and independently, and as such, one should always seek the permission of the Lord to act or eat or speak, and by the blessings of the Lord, everything done by a devotee is beyond the principles of the four defects typical of the conditioned souls.
Yeah. So Prabhupada's expressing how a devotee should be. Last lines especially, one should always seek permission from the Lord to act or eat or speak. So practically in everything we do, that should mood of the devotee should be like that. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur used to say that after stating anything, if Krishna wills, Krishna willing. Many devotees also expresses this statement, phrase, if Krishna wills, Krishna willing. So that is the mood of a devotee. There is a mood of a devotee is always, though we may say or not, that is the background of background consciousness of the devotee. That it's all by will of the Lord. So that's what the main intention of this verse, and Prabhupada is bringing out the behind mood of a Srila Goswami. Srila Goswami's consciousness is bringing forth in this purport. Okay, text 12. Namah parasmai purushaya bhuyase sadudbhavavsta nirodha leelaya grihita shakti tritayaya dehinam antarbhavaya nupalakshavatmane. Is read translation.
Translation. Shukdev Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable."
So the last line will be almost in the next 3-4 verses that will be same. It says that Tasmai Shukadra Shravase Namo Namaha. Text 14 or 15 he will say, let me offer my respectful obeisances to the Lord. This was he is saying, Namah Parasmai Purushaya Bhuyase. So he is praying to the Lord. These are all offering obeisances from 12 to 18. The Lord, who is creation of the, who is the creator of this world, who accepts three modes of nature, etc., is expressing in this verse. Basically, about in relation to the creation, he is expressing. His greatness is glorified here, and also his Paramatma feature, his Paramatma inconceivable nature is explained. Right? These two are explained here. Sadudbhavastan nirodha leelaya. Antarbhava anupalakshaya vartmane. Antarbhava Antarbhavaya anupalakshaya. Anupalakshaya means is inconceivable. So that's what is Prabhupada also mainly focuses on that one. Please read the underlined portion.
As Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, he enters into every universe, and as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, he enters the body of every living being. Because the empiric philosophy.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
Please read.
Lord Sri Krishna, being the origin of all Vishnu Tattvas, is addressed here as Paraha, Puman, or Purushottam, as described in Bhagavad Gita 15.18. He is complete whole. The Purush avatars are therefore his plenary expansions. Bhakti Yoga is the only process by which one can become competent to know him, because the empiric philosophers and mystic yogis cannot conceive of the personality of Godhead. He is called Anupalaksha Vartmane, the Lord of the inconceivable way, or Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah. So three Purushas, you might have heard the names. Karanodaka Sai Vishnu, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu. Karanodaka Sai Vishnu is also known as Mahavishnu. So you need to know some technical terms. the process of creation, all this will come. Mahavishnu is also called Karanasasai Vishnu, from whom the whole creation, the Anantakoti Brahmandas emanate from his pores. So that personality is called Karanasasai Vishnu. And Garbhodasai Vishnu is kind of a personality who enters in every universe, in every Brahmanda. Brahmanda means universe. So that is Garbhodasai Vishnu, from whom lotus, lotus comes from his navel. That is Garbhodasai Vishnu. And Kshirodasai Vishnu, who enters everyone. These three personalities are will be described later. So that is the process of creation. He cannot be known by anyone apart from devotees. So to that personality, I offer my obeisances. That's the way I am speaking. Bhuyo namah sadvrijina chideyat sata asambhavaya khila sattamuktaye om sampuna par paramahamsya ashrame vyavasthitanam anumrugyadashule. Is it?
I again offer my respectful obeisances unto the form of complete existence and transcendence, who is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distresses, and the destroyer of the further advances in atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. See, for the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations.
So now, continuing his obeisances, here he is mentioning about in relation to the personalities. Before that, he mentioned in relation to creation. Now he is mentioning about personalities like liberator of past devotees, destroyer of the advancements of the atheists, and he gives whatever destination to the transcendentalists who are like taking up different paths. So that's what Lord, to that Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances. So mainly three things: destroys the sufferings of devotee, Prabhupada explains, and checks the non-devotee temperaments and grants specific destination. These three are explained by Prabhupada in his purport. Akila Sattva-murti, about first Krishna, he explains about the word Akila Sattva-murti, as mentioned by Sukadeva Goswami. Asambhavaya Akila Sattva-murtaye. Akila Sattva-murti means here translation says that the complete goodness, Akila, complete Sattva-murtaye, unto the personality. Though we have three modes, Sattva, Raja, and Tama gunas, that Sattva especially here mentioned is a mode of pure goodness. So though it's mentioned Sattva, goodness, but it's complete goodness. And though we say that we are in goodness, but the mode of passion and ignorance is always tinged by there is a tinge is there, mixture is there. Though predominance is spoken about always. Though we may say that somebody is in a mode of goodness, but still there tinges are there in passion and ignorance. But when you speak of the Lord, it's complete goodness. Complete means pure goodness. There's no any tinge also. So that's what Prabhupada explains. Lord Sri Krishna is a complete form of all existence, both material and spiritual. Akila means complete, and that which is not Kila, inferior. Yeah, no, there is no inferiority of Raja and Tama. His murti, or having transcendental form, the legendary men who are unaware of his transcendental form describe him as impersonal Brahman, but Brahman is simply the rays of his transcendental body. So how it destroys the sufferings of devotees? Please read the underlined portion.
The pious men who follow the rulings of the Vedas are also dear to him, and therefore the pious men of this world are also protected by him. We check
because they are following Vedas, pious people. Okay. Non-devotees.
the impious and the non-devotees are against the principle of the Vedas, and so such persons are always hampered from making advances in their nefarious activities.
highlighted.
Just like a kind father, either in his favor upon the devotees or his punishment of the demons, he is ever kind to everyone, because because he is the complete existence for all individual existence.
Mm. So Prabhupada gives a beautiful example here that like a kind father, though sometimes he may give milk to his son for his nourishment, sometimes he may give medicine. That's how Srila Krishna gives example somewhere else to explain the nature of a Lord. He compares it to a father. Father generally some father gives nourishment to the child by giving milk and nourishing eatables. Sometimes he may give medicine also if it requires, if to cure some disease. So in that way, Lord it shows the kindness only. He is ever kind to everyone. So that's the main import. We need to Prabhupada is bringing out here. So Lord is in the form of Hiranyakashipu, in the form of Hiranyakashipu, is father for both Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. Lord Narasimhadev is a father for both both Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu in one sense. So the same hand which is giving a great nourishment to Prahlad, and externally the same hand is tearing off Hiranyakashipu, but it is same love, manifesting in different ways. So Hiranyakashipu needs that kind of treatment to cure him from some certain diseases. Hiranya and Kashipu, the term itself is shows the manifestation of material enjoyment. So that's how the Lord is always kind. But the devotee Prahlad is such a protecting hand. Lakshmi Nrsimhamadehi Karavalampam. Please bestow, my Lord, your the lotus hand on my head. Mamadehi Karavalampam. Sri Shankaracharya spoke beautiful verses on this Karavalampam. Okay, so that's the nature of the Lord. He's kind to both, but we may experience in different ways. Sometimes we may experience sweetness, sometimes we may experience the bitterness. But when we hear and when we assimilate the actual kindness of the Lord, then we can actually experience the kindness of the Lord, though it may appear to be bitter sometimes or many times. Okay, Jiva Goswami has directly accepted that the highest destination is Bhakti Yoga, by which one renders transcendental loving service to the Lord. Those who accept the path of Bhakti Yoga are factual Paramahamsas. So Paramahamsa, the word Prabhupada explains, grants specific destinations to Paramahamsa Ashrame. Pumsam Punah Paramahamsa Ashrame. So the Paramahamsa word spoken by Prabhupada and explained by Jiva Goswami. That Paramahamsas are devotees only, not the impersonalists. That was the main quote here, the Paramahamsa. Please read this one. Then what about impersonalist Brahmavadis? Please read. Hare Krishna.
Since the Lord is very kind to everyone, the impersonalists who accept bhakti as the means of merging into the Lord's impersonal existence, the Brahma Jyoti, are also awarded their desired destination. He has assured everyone in the Bhagavad Gita 4.11, Ye yatha mam prapadyanti tam tathaiva bhajami aham. Shall I read?
Yeah. So here Lord also awards everything to everyone according to their desires. Ye yatha mam prapadyanti. Definitely, we also hear the concept from Chaitanya Charitamrita that sometimes the devotees may pray for material enjoyment, but Lord does not fulfill their material desires or material enjoyment. Rather, Lord makes them drink the nectar of His lotus feet, so that the devotees forget the nature of the material enjoyment. That is a special mercy of the Lord. It depends on kindness of the Lord, sometimes He may not fulfill the desires of the, especially the devotees, for which they are praying for. Because this is to increase. Last time we have seen, just to increase the longingness of the devotees. Krishna may sometimes may award different benedictions which are not according to what they are praying for. Yeah, please. Somebody raise
Prabhuji,
hand.
so I had a quick question. So
Yeah,
when the
please.
Lord does not award any material sense gratification to a devotee, is it that the Lord really knows that the devotee actually wants the Lord, but because of his weakness, he is asking for material enjoyment? And therefore, actually, Lord
Yeah.
gives what his real desire is?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. Lord also says in Gita that one of the verse says that what's the verse? I know the future, present, and the past. He knows everything, the past, present, and future. So accordingly, definitely the Lord sees the future. We see the present and plan the future, but the Lord is the beauty of the Lord. So He knows, yeah, as you mentioned, that seeing the ignorance or to increase the longingness, maybe both cases, because in pure devotees, generally there is no ignorance. When we speak of pure devotees and all, so there may not be ignorance, but to just increase the longingness or intensifying their devotion, He may not grant certain desires, though they were praying for. But especially in devotees like us who are practicing devotees, who are trying to perfect our bhakti, sometimes we may pray for some material desires, especially in those cases, seeing our future difficulties, He may not fulfill. Difficulties in bhakti to progress. Yeah. Correct.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yeah, Lord, personally here, the non-devotees and the devotees, how they are benefited. They are destroys Krishna, destroys sufferings, and takes the non-devotees and gives the benedictions to even everyone according to the desires. To that Lord, I offer my obeisances. That's what Sukadeva Swami is saying. Namo namaste Turushabhaya Sattvatam Vidurakashaya Muhyoginam Nirastasamya Radhasa Swadham Brahmani Ramsyate Namaha. Please speak.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, who is the associate of the member of the Yadu dynasty and who is always a problem for the non-devotee. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and the spiritual worlds. Yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable.
Yeah. Here both the creation and the spiritual world are compared by the Sukadeva Swami. And he is saying that the Lord enjoys in the spiritual sky. To that Lord, I offer my obeisances. So then Prabhupada speaks the personal features of the Lord first. There are two sides of the transcendental manifestations of Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. For the pure, he explains about how for the pure devotees his personality, and for those who want to see his impersonal feature, the Brahma Jyoti, he manifests as such. So then he says about creation, because Sukadeva Swami is offering to the both a personality from whom the creation manifests and to the personality who stays in the spiritual world. That's why he's speaking personality, spiritual personality first, and then he's speaking about Prabhupada is explaining about the material world, how it manifests also. So when the Brahma Jyoti is covered by Mahat Tattva, then the creation, part of creation manifests here. So that's how beautifully explains how whole creation manifests here. It is okay. We can read this one. We can read.
And by his impersonal feature, he expand the race of the Brahmajyoti.
Please read.
And by his impersonal feature, he expand the race of the Brahmajyoti, which is limitless and all-pervasive. Part of this all-pervasive Brahmajyoti, which is compared to the sun rays, is covered by the darkness of the Mahat Tattva. And this insignificant part is known as the material world.
Yeah. So just imagine just like a sun. Sun is very much glowing in the sky. And there is a lot of sun rays also all the sky. But let us suppose we have some clouds in a particular area, Pune or South India or whatever. So the clouds, underneath the clouds, there will be always darkness. Right. So that's how whole example is given that sun is compared to the spiritual sky, spiritual world. Sun rays are Brahmajyoti, and the clouds are compared to Mahatattva, and then below Mahatattva, the darkness creation, the material creation is explained, that example. So in the creation, all this material world exists. So that's what Prabhupada explains, whole how the material universe is also manifest. So the Lord and his residential abode will always remain a myth or a mysterious problem for them. For them means for the impersonalists or non-devotees, both. But for the devotees of the Lord will always be available as an associate. Yeah, the personal and impersonal features of Lord are explained there. And then he explains about devotees versus impersonalists. How devotees only can go to Sudhama. Sudhama is Madhama. Sudhama, his own abode. So that Prabhupada focuses on Sudhamni, Sudhama. It's equal to Madhama, as Krishna explains in Gita. Madhama, Paramamama. So that he explains what is Madhama, Sudhama means. In the first verse of the first canto, first chapter also, Nirastapohakam Satyam Param Dhimahi, that Dhamma, Nirastapohakam. So that's the beautiful abode of the Lord. So that is explained, quoting from different scriptures and from Bhagavad Gita and from Upanishads. So Prabhupada proves how it is existing. So Dhamma, how it is beyond the impersonal race, quoting from Upanishad also, Nimai Patrena. So, oh my Lord, please remove your covering so that I can see you. So that's how he proves that there exists a spiritual world which is beyond this material covering, dark material universes, Mahatattva, and beyond Brahmajyoti also there exists a spiritual world. So that's what Prabhupada proves from different Vedic versions. Okay, text 15. Yat kirtanam yat smaranam yadikshanam yad vandanam yad shravanam yadarhanam lokasya sadyo visnoti kalmasham tasmai shubhadra sravase namo namah. Please read.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer.
Yeah. So he's offering obeisances, and especially the Lord who purifies all sins in relation to the conditioned souls especially. Because Nitya Siddhas don't have any kind of sins or offenses also. It's about conditioned souls. Whomever one come in contact with, just like sun can purify any place, whether it's a contaminated place or any other place. No place can contaminate sun, but sun can purify any place and every place. So like that, Krishna purifies all sins. The sublime form of religious performances to free oneself from all reactions of sins is suggested herein by the greatest authority, Srila Goswami. Please read this one.
Kirtanam can be performed both by singing the glories of the Lord in accompaniment with melodious music and by recitation of scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. How to associate with Lord. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Continue.
The devotees need not be disappointed in the physical absence of the Lord, thinking they are not associating with him. The devotional processes of chanting, hearing, remembering, etc., either all or some of them, or even one of them, can give us the desired result of associating with the Lord by discharging the transcendental loving service of the Lord in the above manner.
Continue.
Even the very sound of holy name of Lord Krishna or Ram can at once surcharge the atmosphere spiritually. We must know definitely that the Lord is present wherever such pure transcendental service is performed, and thus the performer of offenseless Kirtanam has positive association with the Lord. Similarly, remembrance and prayers also can give us the desired result if they are properly done under expert guidance.
Yeah. So yet Kirtanam, what's spoken in the verse, yat Kirtanam, yat Smaranam, yat Dikshanam, all these processes, Lokasya Satto Vidnoti Kalmasham. So they will definitely purify. How Prabhupada explained in terms of what exactly means Kirtanam. Kirtanam is also both the chanting with music, basically Kirtan. Also, Kirtan is explaining about sharing Krishna consciousness with others. That is also considered Kirtanam. So, of course, Kirtanam in general, Prabhupada glory says about in this para. Kirtanam in general means glorifying the Lord. So that can be specific with the music and all. Sankirtanam, as we say, Sankirtan means coming together and chanting holy names of the Lord. Sankirtan. Also, it means glorifying the Lord in both ways. So, but Prabhupada goes more deeper to understand what exactly happens, purification, how purification happens. Purification happens by the association with the Lord, just like the sun, when purifies by coming in contact with any object, or any object when it comes in contact with the sun, it purifies. It will be purified. Similarly, we will be purified when we come in contact with the Lord. So that's how Prabhupada brings out the point how we are coming in contact with the Lord, how exactly what happens. That happens because the processes are not different from Him, like chanting, hearing, or remembering. All these processes are not different from Him. So that's how we are purified, because we have directly associating with the Lord. So that's how the purification happens. Direct association means what? Direct association means when we are, especially the mind, subtle body, having contamination, when it comes in contact with the Lord's holy name, the past times when we are hearing attentively. So that's where the contact happens. Srila Swami explains in his book, one of the book, so especially about holy name, he speaks that we should bring the mind in contact with the sound vibration. So because the key is the mind, so we generally, the mind may not pay attention to what we are chanting. Is not there, then the purification will not be there. Just like sometimes we put the charger to the mobile phone or the laptop. So let us suppose I put the charger at 5:30 before going to chanting, and then going to temple hall, then till 7:30 I chant and come after Guru Puja and just see that the mobile is charged. No. Sometimes it happens that mobile is not connected properly. There is no charge on the mobile. Sometimes we may be shocked to see, or maybe surprised to see why it's not charged. Either because of loose connection or because of not switching on the mobile charger. So then it will not charge. So similarly, chanting also. Chanting or hearing, we may not be able to. If we are not connected properly, then the necessary purification will not happen. That's how he explains the phenomena, how we need to bring the mind in contact with the sound vibration. We have to, though it is difficult, agreed. So as Arjuna also agreed, Krishna also agreed for Arjuna's proposal. It's very difficult to control the mind. But it's a repeated process. We need to practice, keep on practicing to bring the mind in contact with the holy sound vibration. Then only the purification happens more faster. So the more intensely we remember the Supreme Lord, to the degree we are purified. To that Lord who purifies all things, I offer my obeisances. That's what Sukadeva Goswami is saying. Text 16. Vichakshana charanopasadaat sangam vyudasyo bhayato antaratmanah vidanti brahmagatim gataklamas tasmai shubhadra sravase namo namaha.
Translation.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances again and again unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, the highly intellectual, simply by surrendering unto his lotus feet, are relieved of all attachment to present and future existence and without difficulty progress toward spiritual existence.
So here, continuing his obeisances, Sukadeva Swami is glorifying in terms of those people who are highly intellectuals, though the Gyanis and all, when they take shelter of the Lord, they attain liberation, or they attain Brahman realization. That's what is expressed here. So Brahmagati, that's what Prabhupada explains. Vindantihi Brahmagatim Gataklamas. Vichakshana. Vichakshana means those who are discriminative. Vichakshana Gyan, highly intellectuals. So when they take shelter of the Lord, Charanopasadaat, when they take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, only they will be Gataklamas. They will be relieved of all the contamination. Vindanti Brahmagatim, they attain highest liberation, Brahmagatim. Especially Gyanis is spoken this verse. Gyanis attain. To that Lord I offer my obeisances. That's what the verse is saying. And Prabhupada explains how Brahmagati, in general also explains. When it says Brahmagati, Prabhupada going deeper into the devotional aspects mentioned in the verse, he is taking from Bhagavad Gita whole series, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. So that's a shelter he is focused on, Prabhupada. And that's why he is taking these 3 verses. How by taking shelter of the Lord, his lotus feet, Sharana, then one will be purified from all the Papa, Sarva Papa, and then Moksha Ishami, Moksha, how one can attain liberation in terms of devotional liberation. He explains in this verses. This translation is so beautiful. Please read this one.
My dear Arjuna, you are very dear to me, and therefore only for your good I will disclose the most secret part of my instructions. It is simply this: become a pure devotee of mine and give yourself unto me only, and I promise you full spiritual existence by which you may gain the eternal right of transcendental loving service unto me. Just give up all other ways of religiosity and exclusively surrender unto me, and believe that I will protect you from your sinful acts, and I shall deliver you. Do not worry any more.
Yeah. See how, though the verses are same with Bhagavad Gita, if you compare with Bhagavad Gita translation and this translation of Prabhupada, same Prabhupada is translating, it's more of an intimate translations, bringing out the personal kindness of the Lord, or personal expression of the heart of the Lord. So my dear Arjuna, you are very dear to me. So though he is speaking, Prabhupada also many times he mentions that Krishna is not just speaking to Arjuna, he's speaking to all the living entities through Bhagavad Gita. He wants to invite everyone to his abode, invite all the living entities to his spiritual kingdom. So in that sense, let us suppose we keep in the place of Arjuna, you can keep your name, you can give your friend's name, your family member's name, especially if you read like that, then it will be more appealing to, from Krishna's side, how he is appealing to us. So let us suppose, let us keep your name and then read, then it will be very much appealing. Okay, so it's a very beautiful translation by Prabhupada. Do not worry anymore, I shall deliver you. So, and believe that I will protect you from all sins. These are all wonderful. Just simply this. Yeah. Okay. So that's how Prabhupada explains how one should take shelter of the Lord. You can try to see, you can try to feel that by keeping your name and read after the class, then you see your experience. Then Prabhupada explains Vichakshana, Charanopasana, intelligent people, how just by taking shelter, they will achieve perfection. Please read this one, underline portion.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to clarify. You said that, we should consider that instead of Arjuna, Lord is speaking to us individually, like that you said?
Yeah, you can keep your name and read.
Okay, like my dear Arjuna, so instead of that, my dear whatever our name is, that way it will be much better.
My dear Ramkrishna Prabhu, you are very dear to me. Krishna is saying like that.
Thank you so much.
In that way, even this theme is explained by His Holiness. What is Maharaj's name? Is he wrote a Japa Reform Notebook. He wrote Reading Reform Notebook and he wrote a Japa Reform Notebook. Lilamrut, who was the author of Lilamrut?
Satswarup Das Goswami Maharaj?
So sorry. So Satswarup Das Goswami Maharaj, he explains this kind of reading, especially in the book called Reading Reform Notebook. He wrote one small book, apart from Japa Reform Notebook, which is very, very profound. You can go through. Both he wrote Japa Reform Notebook and Reading Reform Notebook, how one should read. So he says this kind of approaching to, especially appealing to our hearts. How one should read personally. The Lord is personally speaking to everyone, not to be just to Arjuna only. Or in fact to, of course he is speaking to Arjuna definitely. But Prabhupada also explains in many lectures also, not just Arjuna is only an instrument. Lord is made just Arjuna is made an instrument to bring out the message. He is speaking to all of us. Like, okay.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Very, very insightful. Thank you, sir, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thanks to His Holiness Satswarup Das Goswami Maharaj. Please read this one, underline statement.
One who fully surrenders unto the Lord to render service unto Him out of spontaneous love for Him, factually assimilates the essence of all knowledge described in the Vedas. One who adopts this method very skillfully attains perfection of life at once. And this perfection of human life is called Brahmagati, or the progressive march in spiritual existence.
Yeah, so Prabhupada explains how everyone, all those who are following Vedas, they will attain Brahmagati by surrendering to the Lord. So then Prabhupada, quoting from Jiva Goswami, explains exactly what Brahmagati means. And but without shelter to the Lord, without taking shelter to the Lord, shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, what will happen? It is explained by Jiva Goswami also, and Thakur, and Prabhupada is repeating there by quoting the the famous verse for Brahmaji in his prayers to Lord Krishna in the 10th canto. Please read the highlighted portion.
The example cited here is very appropriate. A handful of real paddy is more valuable than heaps of paddy skins without any substance within. Similarly, one should not be attracted by the jugglery of Karma Kanda or Dhyan Kanda, or even the gymnastic performances of yoga, but skillfully should take to the simple performance of Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc., under a bona fide spiritual master, and without any difficulty attain the highest perfection.
So, by taking shelter of the Lord, one will achieve Brahmagatim. Without taking shelter of the Lord, one will. All the endeavors are just futile endeavors. That's what the main import of the verse. So, to that Lord who awards the Brahmagatim, I offer my obeisances. That's what Sukadeva Swami spoke in 16, 17. Tapasvino dana parayashasvino manasvino mantra vidah sumangada. Kshemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam tasmai shubhadra sravase namo namaha. Please read.
Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performance of charity, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of the Vedic hymns, the great followers of the Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful results without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord.
So Sukadeva Swami, continuing offering obeisances, is saying that see here Vishwanath Chakravarti says that excellence of those with bhakti is shown by negative and positive statements in this and next verse. So the greatness of bhakti is shown by negative example. Negative example is called technically Anvaya and Vyatireka. Anvaya means it's positive, Vyatireka means a negative statement. So negative statement here in the sense you can do any process, tapasa, dana, whatever, yajna, all these things. But if you don't, kshemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam, you will not achieve the results. Vinaya darpanam, if you don't offer to him, you will not get anything. So that is a negative statement. So that's how bhakti is glorified in this sense, negative sense. The next verse, the famous verse will come where it is said a positive statement that the Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhir Shambha, that is a positive statement about bhakti. So in this way, bhakti is glorified in two ways, by the negative and positive. So that's how these verses are explained. So the main theme is that only by dedicating whatever we have, so we can achieve the result. So how to achieve, Prabhupada mentions from how to achieve the result in any activity in general. Also, please read, underline. Hare Krishna.
Advancement of learning, a charitable disposition, political, social, or religious leadership of human society, philosophical speculation, the practice of yoga system, expertise in Vedic rituals, and all similar high qualities in man serve one in attainment of perfection only when they are employed in the service of the Lord.
Yeah.
Everything can be utilized either for one's own sense gratification or in the service of one other than oneself. There are two kinds of self-interest also, namely personal selfishness and extended selfishness. But there is no qualitative difference between personal and extended selfishness. Theft for personal interest or for the family interest is of the same quality, namely criminal.
Yeah. So though he's saying we need to offer the results to the Lord. So in that sense, we need to, if we are utilizing for ourselves, without offering to the Lord, or the extended or self-interest, both need to be avoided. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning. But we need to offer to the Lord. Then only we will be purified, or we will be not entangled here. So as long as we are utilizing everything for ourselves or for the extended relations, in the sense extended selfishness, that's what Prabhupada brings out here. So that will not free us from anything. That will only entangle us. But we need to offer everything to the Lord. So in that sense, Prabhupada explained in these terms. Please read this one.
Hare Krishna. The purpose of maintaining the human body is different from that of animals. Similarly, advancement of learning, economic development, philosophical research, study of Vedic literature, or even the execution of pious activities like charity, opening of hospitals, and the distribution of food grains should be done in relation with the Lord. The aim of all such acts and endeavors must be the pleasure of the Lord and not the satisfaction of any other identity, individual or collective. Sam Siddhir Haritoshanam. The same principle is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.27, where it is said that whatever we may give in charity and whatever we may observe in austerity must be given over to the Lord or be done on his account only.
Yeah. That's the main principle, how we are entangled or how we are liberated. It appears to be same. Like His Grace Radhachandra gives the example of a tape recorder. I mean, in 80s, 90s, previously they have a system of audio tapes. They have the reel tapes. So when the tape is, I don't know whether you have tape reels are when it's playing, the music player, both the circles, both wheels rotate in same direction, right? But though they are rotating same direction, it appears to be same action, but the winding up and unwinding up of the reel is entirely different. One is wound up, another is unwinding itself. So that's how Radhachandra gives an example to show that though one may be doing same act, it appears to be same actions, but there is entirely a great difference. One is entangling and one is liberating. Simply by understanding that Lord is the supreme enjoyer, supreme proprietor, and supreme controller of everything, then we are liberated. So just like Duryodhana and Arjuna, both are fighting, both are throwing arrows, both are fighting a tremendous war, but still there is a great difference between why they fight. That makes the entire difference. One is entangling and one is liberating. That's the main principle Team Prabhupada is bringing out here. The aim of all acts and endeavors must be the pleasure of the Lord. So now the positive statement will be spoken by Sukadeva Swami Rashambha Yavana Kasadaya Yenyecha Papa Yadapashra Shraya Shuddhanti Tasmai Prabhu Vishnave Namaha. Is it?
Virat Hana Andhra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shambha Yavana, members of the Khasa races and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Due to his being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
So this is a positive statement. Excellence of bhakti is spoken in a positive statement. This is so the power of, actually the sloka Shri is not just the power of the Lord. It is glorifying the Lord in a sense, glorifying his devotee also. Just by taking shelter of his devotee, Enyete Papa, Yadapashraya Ashraya, how Prabhupada translates, Yadapashraya Ashraya, so having taken shelter of the devotee of the Lord. So that's how the verse is saying that that Lord, that I offer my obeisances to that powerful Lord by taking shelter of whose devotees, even all these people will be delivered. Can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. So that is by His power. So that is another way of glorifying the Lord. That's right. Now, when we glorify Son, and then we can see Son is like that, then what to speak of His Father like that? So in that sense, Sukadeva Goswami is glorifying the Lord. His devotees can purify all these people, all these races, then what to speak of the Lord in that sense. So Prabhupada, this beautiful purport, maybe we will read almost major part of the purport. So Prabhupada initially introduces all the categories, Kirata, Puna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkacha, or who are the people, where they live. So Mahabharata mentions, so according to the places these people are categorized. Also Prabhupada mentions here, even those who are constantly engaged in sinful activities are all corrigible. Corrigible means amendable, or correctable, or repairable to the standard of perfect human beings if they take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. So they will be purified also. But all these historical names are different nations of the world. So places, these are all places, not only races. So generally in previous yugas that the particular races are staying in particular places. That's how Prabhupada mentioning here. Though nowadays it may be entirely different, but in general, in previous yugas, previous days, that in particular sections of people stays in particular place, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So that's how these races are clarified here by Prabhupada, particular places. Okay. Now Prabhupada explains how by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, how they are purified, how they bring the change in their hearts. That is explained. Please read this one. Jesus Christ.
Sandeep Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Jesus Christ and Muhammad, two powerful devotees of the Lord, have done tremendous service on behalf of the Lord on the surface of the globe. And from the version of Srila Shukadeva Goswami, it appears that instead of running a godless civilization in the present context of the world situation, if the leadership of the world affairs is entrusted to the devotees of the Lord, for which a worldwide organization under the name and style of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness has already been started, then by the grace of Almighty Lord, there can be a true change of heart in human beings all over the world, because the devotees of the Lord are the able authorities to effect such a change by purifying the dust-worn minds of the people in general.
So two powerful devotees of the Lord, Prabhupada explains about by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, all these people races are purified. Like it applies to Prabhupada also, definitely, and definitely it applies to him. Powerful devotee of the Lord who went to Bauri, and the people of the Bauris we can include here. That's how they take shelter of the Prabhupada, and they are very much purified. And we also following them. We are trying to take shelter of the pure devotees of the Lord, following the precepts of Srila Prabhupada. So by that we will be purified. And Prabhupada is very much emphatic on the leadership should be given to the devotees. So does it mean that he is becoming passionate for the post, asking leadership? By asking leadership, no, it's a compassion to show the people the compass of life. Please read the underlined portion.
The devotees are interested only in seeing that the people in general are not misguided by political propaganda and in seeing that the valuable life of a human being is not spoiled in following a type of civilization which is ultimately doomed.
So then, so Prabhupada is saying that he is commanding in the sense that he is asking that leadership should be given to devotees, should be interested, not to show his own passion, but his compassion to people in general. Also the guidelines how to use the valuable human life. So what is meant by interesting leadership? So it's not about taking the post, but it is guiding the people who are on the post. So that's what Prabhupada explains here. The politicians, therefore, would be guided by good counsel of devotees. So once Prabhupada was asked, so do you want to become the king of the whole world? No, I want to guide the person who was on the top, the king of the world. I want to be a minister, I want to guide him. So that's what the main idea of the devotees. We want to guide people who are running the society. So because Brahmanas are very much crucial for running the society. Brahmanas will not definitely passionate for the post. They don't want to serve the post of the people, but they want to guide the society. They have the power to guide the society. So that's what Prabhupada is bringing out here. So what does counsel mean? Please read. What the devotees counsel about.
As Sukadeva Swami began one of his prayers with the words Yat Kirtanam, so also Lord Chaitanya recommended that simply by glorification of the Lord's holy name, a tremendous change of heart can take place, by which the complete misunderstanding between the human nations created by politicians can at once be extinguished. And after the extinction of the fire of misunderstanding, other profits will follow. The destination is to go back home, back to Godhead, as we have several times discussed in these pages.
Yeah, devotees guide the whole state to do Sankirtan, glorifying the Lord at different levels. So that's how one can not only extinguish the fire of misunderstanding and fighting and quarreling and making and bringing up the wars, but also the final destination, going back to God, can be achieved. So do there exist any qualifications for the process to follow? No, you don't have any. We don't need any material qualifications. Ashraya, qualification that we need. Otherwise, there is no bar against anyone advancing. So the only qualification is that one take shelter of the pure devotee of the Lord, who has thorough knowledge of the transcendental science of Krishna, Bhaktivedanta and Bhagavatam. So then what is the result of that Sharanagati? Please read, highlight the question.
Anyone from any part of the world who becomes when conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and is the general people, explain them by purification of the heart.
Yeah. So here, if we take shelter of the Lord, shelter of the devotee of the Lord, becomes well conversant in Krishna, science of Krishna. He also becomes a pure Vaishnava. He also becomes pure devotee and a spiritual master. So that is the power of taking shelter of the even devotee of the Lord. Prabhupada explains. Please read this one.
The system of caste or varnashram dharma is no longer regular even amongst the so-called followers of the system. Nor is it now possible to re-establish the institutional function in the present context of social, political, and economic revolution.
Yeah, economic revolution. So one may say that why we need to surrender to one person. We will take some system. We already have system given by Lord Varnashram Dharma, Chaturvarnyam system. So there is no need to take shelter of the personality. Now he's saying, especially in the Kali Yuga, it's quite difficult to follow Varnashram Dharma in exact sense. So that's why we need to take shelter of the pure devotee. So who will accept devotee shelter who is from
I'm
low
giving
birth?
you 2 minutes, huh?
So
आणि त्याच्यानंतर तू सुरू करतोस तुझा पुढचा चॅप्टर कारण मी तुला पेपर देणार आहे 2.
maybe you can mute if personally. So Prabhupada explains, no, I cannot take shelter of a personality who is coming from low birth. That one may say. Prabhupada says, no, Prabhupada also the scriptures say that I don't see about birth, but we need to see his activities. So birth doesn't matter. Of course, Prabhupada goes one more step that if you see the birth of a Vaishnava, the family of Vaishnava, and is making a critical comment or thinking about him critically, then it is an offense. Please read the highlighted portion, underlined portion.
Just as stone, wood, or metal is transcendently changed when the all-powerful Lord in his form as the worshipable deity in the temple accepts the humble service of his devotee in the devotional activities of Archana, so the body of a pure Vaishnava at once changes transcendently when he gives himself up to the service of the Lord and is trained by a qualified Vaishnava.
Yeah. So here the body changes transcendentally. It may not be in a constitutional wise, but it definitely intentional wise, because the bodies of Vaishnava definitely spiritually acting. It's spiritually acting in the sense that in the line of what the Lord desires, because desires of the Lord to deliver all the conditioned souls and bring to his eternal abode. In that line, all the devotees are working. So in that sense, it's completely becomes transcendental. So that's what explained by Prabhupada, and Prabhupada quotes from Purana, his famous words, famous text, Arche Vishnu Shiladishu. Shiladi Gurushu Naramati, thinking that spiritual master is a mortal or having material body. Vaishnava Jati Buddhi, thinking that Vaishnavas belong to particular caste. So that these are all offenses to this personality. So one need to avoid these kinds of thinking and mentality, and then one should take shelter of the devotee of the Lord. By that we will achieve the perfection. Please read the conclusion.
Conclusion. The conclusion is that the Lord, being all-powerful, can under any and every circumstance accept anyone from any part of the world, either personally or through his bona fide manifestation as a spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya accepted many devotees from communities other than the Varnashramites, and he himself declared to teach us that he does not belong to any caste or social order of life, but that he is the eternal servant of the Lord, who maintains the damsels of Vrindavan, Lord Krishna. C.C. Madhya Leela 13.8. That is the way of self-realization.
Yeah, Gopi, Bhartor, Patakamala, your Das, Anadas. That's the real identity. So anyone, any part of the world, that personally or through his bona fide manifestation as a spiritual master, we take shelter. We need to take shelter, then we are purified, we are elevated. That's what the main intention of the verse, glorifying the process of bhakti, in specific taking shelter of the devotee of the Lord, devotees of the Lord. Okay, that's how these two verses are spoken. Glory of bhakti in Anvaya and Vyatirika fashion. Text 19. Adishwaras Myo Dharmamayastapomaya Gatavyalikair Ajashankaradibir Please read. Please read, Hare Krishna.
He is the super soul and the supreme lord of all self-realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that supreme absolute be pleased with me.
Till 18 verses from 12 to 18, Sukadeva Goswami offered his obeisances. Tasmai Subhadra Sarvashe Namo Namaha. Now from 19 to 23 is seeking the pleasure of the Lord. May that Supreme Lord be pleased with me. Pleased with me means pleased with my activities, my attitudes. So that's how he offers. First he's seeking the pleasure of the Lord. So by others for attaining their particular goals. That's what the comment of Acharya is, that he should be worshipped for attaining even their goals. Atmavatam is basically referring to Jnanis and Yogis. That's what explanation. Dharmamayas, Tapomayas, these are all karmis. So that's how these are explained. Mayu, Dharmamaya, Tapomaya. This explains about process of karma, Atmavatam, Atmavatam. This explains the path of Jnana and Yoga. So all of them has to take shelter of the Lord. Please, they have to follow the Lord. So they need to worship the Lord for attaining their goals. That's what explanation. Now please read this one.
Everyone is searching for eternal peace or eternal life, and with an aim to the destination, everyone is either studying the Vedic scriptures or other religious scriptures, or undergoing severe austerity as empiric philosophers, as mystic yogis, or as unalloyed devotees, etc. But the Supreme Lord is perfectly realized only by the devotees because they are above all pretensions.
Yeah. So everyone searching for eternal peace or eternal life. And Prabhupada, that beautiful purport that we read, I think, maybe in very initial classes, where in first canto, 12th chapter, I think, text 6. So everyone is hungry for spiritual atmosphere. So, but all these material things will not satisfy anyone. So in that sense, Prabhupada explains so beautiful purport, that one. Everyone is hungry for eternal peace and eternal life. But because of identifications with the different levels of material bodies, at different levels of identifications, either gross or subtle, we are trying to find happiness at that level, and we want to be fulfilled and the satisfaction of the heart, but it will not, as long as we are not coming to that point of taking shelter of the Lord or trying to please the Lord at the core level. So that's what Prabhupada explains, how these karmis, jnanis and yogis, they are trying to fulfill the heart, but they cannot. Only by coming to the Nishkami bhaktas, that's what Prabhupada explains. Then only we can, without pretensions only we can please the Lord. As one of the famous verse also, in the last para of the purport, this comes, that famous verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Muktikami, Siddhikami, Sakalaya Shanta, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Teva Shanta. That's what Prabhupada quotes. From there, he brings out this concept that Muktikamis, Siddhikamis, and Nishkama Bhaktas. That's what he explains about how these are all having their desires. so many desires, but it is all self-centered, I-centered. I want to enjoy, I want to be liberated, I want the perfection. So that I is the center for all these mukti kamis, and siddhi kamis. And Nishkami Bhaktas, Krishna is the center, Krishna satisfaction. Please read this one highlighted portion.
Living entity by his constitutional position cannot be void of all desires. The Bhakti Kami, Mukti Kamis and Siddhi Kamis all desire something for personal satisfaction. But the Nishkami devotees of the Lord desire everything for the satisfaction of the Lord.
Yeah. So devotion begins when we bring the Lord into our life. That is the beginning of devotion. But devotion is the culminates. The highest point of devotion culminates when we letting the Lord to enter in His realm. The devotion culmination. Then when we enter into Lord's circle, bringing the Lord into our life means, okay, I am the center, and then I bring the Lord also in my circle. So I want some mukti, I want some siddhis. So I bring the Lord in the circle, because by keeping Him in the circle, in the equation, then only everything will fulfilled. So that's the beginning of devotion. That's okay. Definitely, that's agreed, because at least they are bringing the Lord in the circle, in the equation. So, but that is not the pure devotion. Pure devotion means taking ourselves into the Lord's circle. Means I am becoming the instrument in for the Lord's pleasure. That's the main part of a difference between these two circles. So that's the beginning and the culmination. Beginning definitely Artho Jigna, Sudartharthi Jnana, Nityavartarshava, Chaturvarnam, Chaturvita Vasantema. That can be the beginning. Definitely. But Akamatvam, as we explained in the, maybe I think, that Akama, Sarvakama, Mokshakama, third chapter, where it explains Akamatvam, when Yoga Swami defined the words, Prabhupada quoted a Sanskrit term also, phrase also. Bhajaniya Paramapurusha Sukhamatra Sosukatvam is Akamatvam. That desiring only the pleasure of the Lord. So that's what here Nishkami Prabhupada translates saying. Nishkami devotees desire everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. So that will be the culmination of the bhakti and also fulfillment of the heart. Not just bhakti. It is the supremely satisfying. Ayatma suprasidati. Till the time, though we may try to do many things, it will not satisfy the heart. Just like Vyasadeva also, he wrote all the Vedic literature. And you have read already the first canto, 3-4 chapters from 4 to 5, 6, 7, where he explains about he could not be satisfied with all the literatures until he came to the point of pure devotion, glorifying the Lord in pure devotion. So the same theme continues everywhere. So we may not identify with the karma yogis or jnana yogis or bhakti kamis, mukti kamis, siddhi kamis here. We cannot think these are different people, but we also see these are all mentalities. These are not just personalities. These are not just personalities. These are also some mentalities. So all these sadhakas have these mentalities of mukti, and siddhi. Only focusing on perfection in my service. Only focusing on avoiding distress in my service. Only focusing on happiness in my service. These are all different facets of mukti kami, and siddhi kamis. So the more we have these anyavilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavrutam, we need to uncover all these mentalities. Anukulyana Krishna Anushilanam, we need to see always the pleasure of the Lord, satisfaction of the Lord. That is called bhakti. Then only it will become a pure bhakti, then only it will satisfy the heart. That's the main meaning Prabhupada is bringing out. Then Prabhupada is bringing out, is quoting case study of Arjuna, how he transformed himself from self-satisfaction to Krishna satisfaction. It's a beautiful way of putting Prabhupada, the example of Arjuna. Please read the highlight portion. Sorry, underline portion.
In the beginning, Arjuna placed himself as one of those who desire self-satisfaction, for he desired not to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but to
continue.
But to make him desireless. The Lord preached the Bhagavad Gita, in which the ways of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and also Bhakti Yoga were explained, because Arjuna was without any pretension. He changed his decision and satisfied the Lord by agreeing to fight Karishya Vachanam Tava, and thus he became desireless.
First he asked Krishna to take chariot in between the two armies. Pradam Stapayitva. So then he asked Karishya Vachanam Tava. And the last he's saying that I will do whatever you desire, whatever you want me to do. Karishya Vachanam Tava. So that's how we also try to improve ourselves more and more. That's what Prabhupada's famous verse he quotes here. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Deva Shanta Mukti Mukti Siddhigami Sakaliya Shant. Please read the conclusion.
The conclusion is, therefore, that the Lord is for everyone, because no one can achieve the result of his respective desire without his sanction. But as stated by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita 8.9, all such results are awarded by him only. For the Lord is Adhishwara, the original controller of everyone, namely the Vedantists, the great Karma Kandyas, the great religious leaders, the great performers of austerity, and all who are striving for spiritual advancement. But ultimately, he is realized by the pretensionless devotees only. Therefore, special stress is given to the devotional service of the Lord by Srila Sukadeva Goswami.
Sukadeva Goswami offered obeisances. Of course, may he be pleased with me, because all these personalities has to worship the Supreme Lord for their attainment of the goal. Prabhupada beautifully explained about contrasting with all these processes of karma and jnana. Okay. Next, text 20. Shriya patir yajna patir prajapatir dhyam patir loka patir dharapati patir gatischa chandaka vrishni sattvatam prasiditam me bhagavan satam pati. Pati verse, pati and gati. Please read.
May Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipped Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andhaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me.
So, because as Acharya has mentioned that here Sukadeva Goswami offering his obeisances and he's asking, be pleased upon me, be pleased merciful to me. So, in the sense, he's glorifying the Lord as the protector of all these Vrishni dynasty, Yadu dynasty, all the goddesses of fortune. He's the leader of all living entities. In that sense, he's the protector of all. That's what the main summary is given. And Prabhupada also following the same lines, he's saying, since Sukadeva Goswami is one of the prominent Gatavyalikas, those who are free from all misconceptions, he therefore expresses his own realized perception of Lord Krishna as being the sum total of all perfection. personality of Godhead. So is the sum total of all protection and perfection, both. So then Prabhupada explains each term one by one. Shriyapati, Shriyapati. Shriyapati is Shriya is opulence. Especially Prabhupada here takes the word as the goddess of fortune, because she is a personality of personification of all the opulences, goddess of fortune. And in the sense, the gopis. Then Prabhupada explains in those terms how Krishna is a Shriyapati, how we should understand the interactions between him and the opulences, the personification of the opulences, the gopis, and especially Radharani. We cannot understand the relationship as a mundane. That's how he explains the whole theme of the relation between Krishna and the goddesses of fortune in terms of gopis. Then he explains about Yajnapati, what is actually Yajna, what is not. So that's how he explains Yajnardat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. That's why he quotes this verse. Yajna means Vishnu. We need to offer everything for the satisfaction of Vishnu. That is because Krishna is Yajnapati. He is the final enjoyer of all kinds of yajna. Therefore, Yajnapati is another name of Lord Vishnu. It is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita that everything be done for the Yajnapati, Yajnardat karmanaha, because otherwise one's act will be the cause of conditioning by the laws of materialization. Just like the example of tape recorder, as we discussed, that will just be entirely. So then I explained about Prajapati, continuing the theme of Yajnapati. Under no circumstances should a conditioned soul ever give up the practice of sacrifice, charity, and austerity. The aim of all the sacrifices is to please the Yajnapati, personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord is also Prajapati. Because those who are doing Yajna, is all Prajas. So he is also the Prajapati. So he is the maintainer and protector. Pati is Pati, the normal meaning is husband. Husband main responsibility is to protect the family, protect the children, protect the wife. Pati is the maintainer and protector both. Right? So in that sense, is a Prajapati. He maintains. Eko Bhunam Yogitrati Kama. So this is the meaning of the Pati, the connotation is a maintainer. So in that sense, Lord is everything. Yajnapati, Prajapati, Dhyampati. Dhyampati is the Lord of intelligence. All living beings are not equally endowed with same quality of intelligence, because behind such development of intelligence is the controller of the Lord. So as Gita 15:15 says, Mattasmati Jnanam Apohanam. So because Lord gives the intelligence according to the desires of the living entity, according to the deservance, according to what they deserve and what they desire. Both on both factors, Krishna keeps revealing the intelligence. So that's why he is the controller of that intelligence. That's why it's called Dhyampati. Use of intelligence to understand who is real Lokapati. Now it's Lokapati. Lokapati is like a lord of all the planets. That's what Prabhupada explains here. The creation. Pati in the sense he is the creator. Pati is also creates children. Similarly, Lord is called in the sense of Pati, the creator. Everything we see in the material manifestation is but creation of the Lord. Therefore, he is real proprietor of everything in the universe. Because one who creates is the proprietor, the real creator in that sense. So that's what Prabhupada explains the different terminology of Lokapati, Dhyampati. So specific case to show how Lord is Lokapati. He explains one of the specific case. Please read the underlined portion.
When he so descends, he proves how much greater is his ability to enjoy, and he exhibits his power of enjoyment by, for instance, marrying 16,000 wives at once. The conditional soul is very proud of becoming the husband of even one wife, but the Lord laughs at this. The intelligent man can know who is the real husband. Actually, the Lord is the husband of all the women in his creation, but a conditional soul under the control of the Lord feels proud to be the husband of one or two wives.
Yeah, Prabhupada is Prabhupada in a sarcastic sense. Challenging the attitude of proprietorship of a personality. Bhav, either man or woman, both have Purusha Bhav. So that mentality is Prabhupada is very much challenging here, especially in men, about husbands. So one beautiful verse in the Chaitanya it says that about Madan Mohan it comes the verse. I'm not able to remember the verse, but it says that Lord as a Madan Mohan is attracting all the women of the world with his beautiful dancing, his beautiful dressing, and his perfumes. So here, women in the sense that we are all actually Prakriti, right? We cannot be Purusha. In technical terms, when we understand the philosophy, the Lord is only Purusha. All are Prakriti only. Either woman or man, female or male, they are all Prakriti only because Lord is only enjoyer. We are all is part and parcel. We are all Prakriti. So in that sense, we are all woman and Krishna, Lord is only Purusha. So we cannot be proud of anything. So in that sense, Lord is Pati of all the living entities. Prabhupada specific case is mentioning. Please read the summary, only highlighted portion.
All these qualifications as the different types of pati mentioned in this verse are meant for Lord Sri Krishna, and Sukadev Goswami has therefore especially mentioned the pati and gati of the Yadu dynasty.
The last one.
The Lord is therefore the guide of all devotees, and as such, Sukadev Goswami offered him due respects with love-laden feelings.
Yeah. Great feelings of love, he is offering his obeisances, pati and gati. He is the in every sense. So that's why he's offering obeisance.
It is
It
the
is a
personality of God.
Continue.
Okay, translation by Srila Prabhupada. It is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who gives liberation by thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of authorities. The devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me.
Yeah. Sukadeva Goswami continuing till text 23, that seeking the Lord's pleasure. May that Lord Krishna give me intelligence, knowledge. That's what the acharyas mean. Explain the import of this prayer by Sukadeva Goswami. So how? By thinking of his lotus feet, following in the footsteps of the authorities, anyone, or especially devotees, can see the absolute truth. That's what main theme of Prabhupada explains. Means thinking of lotus feet means what? Meditating on lotus feet, thinking of lotus feet means humility. Because feet are considered like a very, down portion of a personality. When we are going down to lotus feet, when you are touching the lotus feet, especially in different cultures of India, we have this posture or culture that we touch the feet of personalities, respectable personalities, superior personalities, mature and senior personalities, devotees, sannyasis. So that's the mainly we are bringing out the, it should be bring out the motion of humility, submitting oneself. That's why the words also Tadviti Pranipatena. Pranipat means actually taking shelter at the feet, Pranipat. So that's how the Prabhupada bringing out the inner mood of that meditating on lotus feet. So that's the main import of the Prabhupada is bringing it here, the quoting the words. How pure devotee thinks himself, fall into the ocean of birth and death, and instantly prays to the Lord, lift him up. Good ability, it's humility. He quotes this famous verse from Mukundamala Stotra. So meditating on the Lord's feet. Without humility, we may endeavor on our own, but it will not be possible to either achieve any result or even to cross the ocean of middle birth and death. So please read this one, underline.
The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to such mental speculators, and because they cannot enter into the network stems of the lotus feet of the Lord, all mental speculators differ in their conclusions, and at the end they make a useless compromise by saying as many conclusions as many ways according to one's own inclination, yatha rucham. But the Lord is not like a shopkeeper trying to please all sorts of customers in the mental speculator exchange. The Lord is what He is, the absolute personality of Godhead, and He demands absolute surrender unto Him only. So follow acharya with humility.
Yeah. Thank you. So he demands, though its demand is not like a false ego demanding, right? He demands in the sense that he's more of a pleading demand. Though Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, it appeals to demanding from the Lord, but Lord always gives a free will to the living entity. So we need to follow in the footsteps of acharyas with humility. We cannot directly approach. That's what Anupashyanti, the translation itself, we read that those who are meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, thinking the lotus feet of the Lord, following in the footsteps of authorities, following in the footsteps of the devotees. That's what Prabhupada explains here. Anupashyati, we need to follow the acharyas, bona fide spiritual masters. In that way, we need to think. We need to practice bhakti also. Mahajana vena kata sapantha. In that sense only we need to practice to achieve perfection. So that humility attracts the Lord. Please read this one.
The humbleness of the pure devotee who is 100% engaged in his service puts the devotee of the Lord in a trance by which to realize everything. Because to the sincere devotee of the Lord reveals himself as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10.
Yeah. Tesham sasatayuktanam bhajatam pritiparokam tame buddhiyogam tam yenam apayante. That buddhi, that knowledge, that intelligence, what is Sukadeva Goswami is aspiring for as per acharyas. May that Lord Krishna give me intelligence. So that Prabhupada is quoting these words to show how Lord will reveal himself. Tadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam apayante. For whom tesham satatayuktanam, engaged in service of the Lord in the footsteps of the devotees. So that is the meaning of the words. Text 22. Please read the translation.
May the Lord, who is in the beginning of the creation, amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me.
Yeah, so he is comparing Acharya mentions that just as the Lord made the Vedas flow from the mouth of Brahma, may he let the description of his pastimes flow from my mouth, that which is expressed in this verse. So just like he made, Krishna inspired, Tene Brahma Hada Adikavaye Muhyanti Yasuraya. So who inspired the Lord from within the Brahma? Tene Brahma Hadaya. So the same Lord, let he inspire me to speak about him in different pastimes. That's what Sukadeva Goswami aspiring for this verse. So Prabhupada takes the theme that how Lord awakens not only in Brahma, but in every living entity also. He is only inspiring element. This awakening of knowledge is under the full control of the Lord, and therefore we find in the practical world different grades of knowledge in different persons. This awakening of knowledge is neither an automatic or a material interaction. The supply source is the Lord himself, Dhyambati. For even Brahma is also subject to this regulation of the Supreme Creator. So everything is inspired by the Lord. Of course, it depends on the desire of the living entity, how he inspires. The three doers we might have read in Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter, three doers. So the living entity is the initiator always, but Lord is the main inspirer. So how Brahma was inspired, that was spoken by Prabhupada in this report. So therefore, neither the material nature nor Brahma is independent of the Lord. In that sense, he is inspiring element. The Vedic knowledge was therefore first impregnated within Brahma, and it appears that Brahma distributed the Vedic knowledge. The difference between Vedic sound, Prabhupada brings out the theme that how when Brahma spoke from his mouth, because the verse is speaking about Krishna inspired Brahma to speak. So when the physical sound, the vibration of Aurishaya, what is spoken by Brahma is Apaurishaya, is given by the Lord himself. What is the difference between that and the material sound vibration? Prakruta, Aprakruta. So that's what Prabhupada explains in this purport, and it's in the section of the purport, that there's a great difference between these two sounds. So we cannot attain perfection by this material sound, Prakruta. Please read this one, essence of shloka.
Shukdev Goswami is praying to the Lord by dint of being inspired from within by the Lord, so that he could rightly explain the facts and figures of creation as inquired by Maharaj Parikshit. A spiritual master is not a theoretical speculator like the mundane scholar, but is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham, expert in understanding the Vedic conclusion in disciplic succession, and therefore constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. MU 1.2.12.
Yeah, the Upanishad is saying one should approach personality who is Shrotriyam Brahmanistam. Sukadeva is praying to the Lord to being inspired from within to explain facts and figures. Okay, text 23. Continue. Other devotees.
May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who in his Purusha incarnation causes the living beings to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements.
So this is also, these verses may not be exactly in sequence of with the material creation, the spiritual world, many times with personalities, with his families, or the Supreme Lord. So here he's saying how in his Purusha incarnation causes the living entities to be entangled because of the desires. So he's glorifying the Lord. Let that personality decorate my statements. So Acharya is saying that now may my words created by him, by his presence in them in the words, create beauty with literary ornaments and qualities, invoking Madhurya Karuna, and other rasas to bring joy to the listeners. That's what the main import, according to Krishna Jagataka. As a fully dependent devotee, Sukadeva Goswami, unlike a mundane man who is proud of his own capability, invokes the pleasure of the Supreme Personality, pleasure of the personality of Godhead, so that his statements may be successful and appreciated by the hearers. So, following the footsteps of Krishna Jagataka, Prabhupada translates the Prabhupada writes the purport that may the statement be successful and be appreciated by the hearers. Then Prabhupada makes comment about consciousness of devotee and non-devotee, how they think, just like the previous purport that we read. So Goswami therefore wants to move by the direction of the Supreme Lord who inspired Brahma to speak with his wisdom. And then he explains how Vedic literatures are not concoctions. They are revelations by the Lord. Just like he quotes the proof from Bhagavad Gita. Sarvachaham Sanvishto Matasmati Jnanam Pohancha. Vedaisha Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Veda Videvacha. So everything comes from the Lord, even Vedas, and he should be the known. He should be known by the Vedas. So by his humble demeanor, he is offering his obeisances. And we need to understand through parampara, following the Sukadeva Goswami. That's what he's saying, Prabhupada. You need intelligence to see the beauty of creation and the Lord. Prabhupada explains how even the creation, as the verse is explaining about the creation. So Prabhupada brings out the point how everything is beautiful in the creation also. Because the beauty, as Vishnu Jagataka mentioning, let beautify the words. Beautify my words, decorate my words. That's what the main theme of the translation. So Prabhupada brings out the point. Even the creation itself is so beautiful. But without intelligence, we can't see the beauty. That's what point Prabhupada makes. The intelligent man can see without mistake that any material creation, whether one's own body, plant, grow up without spiritual touch. So that's the theme Prabhupada brings out. To see everything beauty in everything. Even one's own body, the fruit or flower, Prabhupada makes statement that it's beautiful is growing. So every beauty is indicate the Lord's supreme, Lord's supreme majesty and supreme greatness. That's the beauty is explained here. Okay, text 24. Please read.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudev, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord.
Yeah.
So
So now
he offers his
Okay, please read.
He offers respect to his Guru Vyasadeva, who is the avatar of Vasudevaya, who is the maker of the scriptures, whose lotus mouth nectar filled with knowledge the devotees drink.
Yeah. So it's saying the pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. So that's the main Mukha Amburuha Asavam. Mukha Amburuha Asavam. That's what Sukadeva Goswami is offering his obeisances to Vyasadeva. His incarnation of the Supreme Lord and who compiled Vedas. So that to that personality, he is offering obeisances from whose lotus mouth the nectar drops. That devotees are drinking that. What is that nectar? I mean, Krishna's Vani is also nectar. Krishna's flute from the sound vibration which is coming from lotus mouth of the Lord is nectar. Both Charanamrit, his lotus mouth and his lotus feet, both are compared to Charanamrit. Charanamrit is like Ganga is also the nectar and ocean, nectar and waters. from his lotus feet, and nectar from his lotus mouth in terms of body. This is also nectar. So that's what Prabhupada explains here. Of course, he quotes the acharyas to explain what exactly is the nectar. Please read this one.
By gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. But without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's Rasa dance and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the Rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two.
Yeah, that's what Vishwanath Thakur brings out the point of where one need to understand the distinction between, one need to understand properly about the Lord. There is no mundane distinction. So that to that Lord is offering obeisances. So last verse. Please read.
My dear King Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narad, exactly apprised him on this subject, as it was directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. He praises the
So now the last
conversation.
verse is, yeah.
He praises the conversation between Brahma and Narad, which contained questions and answers. As soon as Brahma was born of the
Yeah,
abominable.
sir. Yes, please. So this verse is the last verse where Sukadeva Goswami now starts quoting the version of Brahmanar Sambad, in which the creation aspects were spoken. So you see the loop from where it started. The Shaunaka Rishis asked the question to Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami is quoting the version of Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. Now Sukadeva Goswami is quoting another loop of Brahma Narada. That's how the whole question answers are going on. Exactly about creation. Sukadeva Goswami himself is referring to conversation between Brahma and Narada to exactly understand the creation aspects, which were asked by Parikshit Maharaj in this chapter. From text 5 to 10, he asked the questions. Then he offered obeisances. So there was some beautiful prayers. Then he's starting the conversation between Brahma and Narada. Dr. Prabhupada explains about Brahma and Narada. He explains, there is no use in theories, knowledge must be factual. There are many things that are complicated and cannot understand them unless they are explained by one who knows. Vedic knowledge is also very difficult to know and must be learned by the above mentioned system, otherwise it's not at all understood. So disciple succession is explaining Prabhupada. Surya Goswami therefore prayed for the mercy of the Lord so that he might be able to repeat the very same message that was spoken directly by the Lord to Brahma, or what was directly spoken by Brahma to Narada. Therefore, the statements of creation explained by Surya Goswami are not at all, as the mundane suggests, theoretical, but are perfectly correct. One who hears these messages and tries to assimilate them and gets the perfect information of material creation. Thus, then the Bhaktivedanta purports of second canto, 4th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Process of Creation. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So we pause here. Those who have maybe one or two questions, they can wait. Or others devotees can take leave. So we completed second canto, first unit. I think this is 7th or 8th unit, I think. Is it Anuj?
Seven.
7th, yeah. So second canto, especially first part is 1 to 4 are explanation is Prabhupada purports are very big. And now the 8th unit will be a little more technical of creation. That's a beautiful section as well. But second canto in itself is a little more of a technical thing. But once the third canto starts, it's like more of a story form, he will relish more. Or those who like the Leela relish more. But second canto is a bit technical in terms of creation. And also the creation aspect continues in Srimad Bhagavatam maybe 3-4 times, somewhere in between. Third canto, again in fifth canto, like that. But it's both we need to understand, as here explained by Prabhupada himself, the nectar in the form of profound philosophical understandings that gives us a strong foundation about the Lord. Okay. Any question? Okay. Hope you had understood a little bit. So I thank especially all of the devotees for their patient listening and enthusiastic participation. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We are very... Yes, Prabhuji, Madan Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We are very much thankful for such a wonderful explanation of the purport based on relations. At least I myself got very good misunderstanding for this purpose. At least whatever you have got realization. Thanks a lot, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you for all.